Thank you all again for tuning in to A Healthy Mind and Body. We are in week 6, so we're halfway through, and it's actually been going by pretty fast. And it has been a pleasure. Like, I actually do enjoy coming on Thursdays. Like, it's something to look forward to. I won't lie to you, at first, it was giving me all types of anxiety. And if you've been listening, the whole time, then you understand about the whole note fiasco and all of those different experiences. And last class, I didn't pre-do notes, and today I didn't do notes in advance either. Just more so going with the flow. And speaking of going with the flow, I do have recordings that need to be posted on YouTube, and I'll get to those. Life is life right now, which is, why I became an entrepreneur, so I can be on my own time most of the time, but never at a disservice to you. But this is a service to you, and it's a tune in live type of thing. The recording was just the perk, but I am going to put the recordings on there, and you don't need to go back to go forward. You can just listen to them when they're available. I'll just say, whenever they're available is when you need them. And if they're not available, then you don't need them yet. And then we'll just keep moving like that. But no, seriously, I'm in the process of doing 5 right now. And you may or may not know that 4 has to be re-recorded. But moving forward into diet and daily routine, that is the topic for this week. And last week, just to kind of do, I'm not going to go much into a recap, but last week what we did was an intro to Ayurveda. And the purpose was for you to understand the backings of my education. And so if you want to ever look into any of these like meditation techniques or books or even a university that I'm, attending, so that you'll know, the basis for this information. But it truly is a life study. So it's not even just what I'm doing right now. It's probably what I've been doing for maybe like my entire life, because it all leads to this, right? When you can look back upon it and you can understand why, each job, each different scenario, things that we, label so-called good or bad, they're really all divinely orchestrated to get us to where we need to be and to prepare us. And so, like I said, coming a long way with my severe stage fright and anxiety. Dare I come before you without notes, but I already know. So let's get into it. Circadian rhythm is the word for the day. And so if you've never heard of circadian rhythm, this is this natural earthly rhythm that all the living things are on. Like the birds just so happen to always know when to get up and chirp. We can study these different animals. We know certain animals are nocturnal because they're patterned a certain way. And so the ways that we're patterned in this circadian rhythm is is designed for our growth, is designed for our development and our evolution. And so taking us back to what, like 10th grade biology, we had to understand Darwin's theory of evolution and really learn about kind of just that being one-on-one environment with nature. They, paint us out like, in the caveman time, or, if you were looking at any of those illustrations, just like the bridge between humans and gorillas. We're not going to go that far. I will say this. The Darwin's theory of evolution is a much larger text and context than what is delivered in 10th grade biology. So the ideas that we had from, that educational experience on evolution, don't quite meet the mark that Darwin was trying to convey. And if anybody cares, because I found it very interesting when I went back as an adult to see that what was left out of the research that was presented to us was, even though he saw certain things like, this animal was on this coast and this coast because we see these tracks and these tracks, or whatever the case, what was left out is how he felt about it and what he thought about it, because we get so science-based and then the research is just like fact, fact, fact. But what we come to know is that matters. It matters a lot. And so, if there was any evidence of a different version of God there based on his feelings and interpretation, that was left out because that text went on to later say that he didn't think that we evolved from apes. But we'll pocket that for now. Back to circadian flow. This natural evolutionary sequence that we follow, that tells, like I said, every other animal is telling them what to do and how to wake up and how to be one and, how to get what they need. We have that too. It's overridden. That's when people say, you're programmed or you have all of these things or you're taught to be in this certain flow. Yeah, we're taught to be workers in this capitalistic system. That doesn't always go with what's good for our body. And so one of the homework exercises that I gave you, I don't know why I just called it that, but you know what I mean. I asked you to try to take your largest meals at noon between the 10 and 2 hour because your digestion is stronger during that time. And that's one of the hardest things for people in this common day and age to actually do because a lot of people are working a 9 to 5 job and they have just a small lunch break. So that's the easiest meal to eat out, to go catch some fast food. And so it's just, like I said, many reasons why our modern day society has taken us completely out of this circadian flow and circadian rhythm. So I'm going to give you a few things to consider, and you can try to get back into that flow the best you can. It is best to rise before 6 a.m. and be asleep by 10 p.m. That's in the circadian flow. And so there has been like some different tests done, like people that get up around 5 to 6 and then get that good night's sleep have a different level of energy and vitality. And so, of course, when we first began to learn about this in class, everybody that worked third shift, like, what? It's kind of frustrating because you realize that this societal overlay, that's just a very human thing, a very human construct, and a very human experience, doesn't actually foster our health and wellness all the time. It's more about money. It's more about, the superficial aspects of the experience. And so if you have it in you to be able to try to modify your rise and sleep times, this is just really good. It's just really good for your body. It'll make you productive. I've heard people talk about it that have no idea what it is, but they said when I started doing this, it made more sense. And staying within those hours really helps you to optimize the energy for the day. Maybe that's the way we can look at it. Another thing that can be incorporated, since we're kind of going into diet and daily routines, I'll pop in. I'll tell you as it comes. So, if you can go for a walk, and I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos, or one of like these major gurus was like, what's one thing that you can tell anybody to do that most people can do that's like the simple, easiest thing to get them in better health? If you can go for a walk, you should go for a walk within the first 2 hours of the sun rising. And that's to get the energy from the rising sun. And I know it sometimes can seem a bit woo-woo to be like the energy, but we're all on it. It's all a system. We all go by time. We all consider the daytime when the sun is up, and the nighttime is the time when we should be sleeping. We not nocturnal, our productivity before electricity had to be during the hours of sunlight. And so that those sunlight hours were taken advantage of, pre-electricity, which is another man-made construct. And so, if you want to even envision like what being in that circadian rhythm and flow look like, you can just think of that. Think about if you didn't have a lot of these modern conveniences, what would it be like? And so another thing that we mentioned in the previous class is eating food that's in season in the place where you are. And that being what's good for your body, because what grows there, the type of stuff that grows there, like that's what you should eat for your nourishment. And pre-modern societies, you didn't have a choice. You weren't shipping in whatever exotic fruit from whatever country you wanted to. You had to eat what was available, and that's nourishing. I know that you can have things and outsource and all of that, and we'll get into that later. probably next week with the herbs and prescription medicines. But just for now, I'm just thinking about, a very simplistic lifestyle and kind of looking at our animalistic nature and how it's a bit more in touch with, the things that we need to do to actually heal ourselves. And so waking up is just one piece of it. We talked about the proper times to eat. And so I'm going to tie some of those other things because we're just going to look at the day. So when we get up, if you can walk, if you can go for a walk, go for a walk and then get your day started. And so heaviest meal, lunchtime. If you have a problem with having an appetite by lunch, then you should take breakfast. Because what's happening is your digestion is not uh awake yet because you didn't break the fast. And the breaking the fast should be something light. Before 10 a.m., it should be something light. It could be some oats. It could be some fruits. That's really not when you really want to do like the whole bacon, egg, grit, bust down because your digestive system isn't good. But if you enjoy those breakfast foods, I say just have them for brunch because that's just a better time of the day to be able to have assistance in digestion. Okay. And so, where was I? So taking that biggest meal at lunchtime is important. So breakfast, if you don't have appetite for lunch, break the fast, eat something light. If you're going to miss a meal and you just be a 2 meal a day type person, then if you have a good enough appetite by lunch, then let it be breakfast. But then again, with dinner, you want to go light. So we like light, heavy, light. And light during that time because you're preparing yourself to wind down. And so I kind of mentioned this when we were talking about the cold and warm water thing, but the digestion process takes about 3 hours from start to finish. And so if you're eating and then you're going to lay down right after you eat, you don't have the sun already, and now you also don't have gravity. And then during the time where your cells want to reproduce and rejuvenate, they now have a job that you've actually made harder, which is to digest your food. And so a lot of times people that have trouble getting to sleep at night find that it improves when they stop eating late. And so ideally, if you want to stay in circadian flow and go to bed at 10, then you should cut off at 7, for your last meal and be able to digest that. And so we have this idea of, 3 meals a day. We were kind of all taught that. And it's good. I won't lie to you, but what we've all done and most people do now is we graze. There is no distinctive meal. Sometimes it's just eating here, eating there. If you're a work from home person or you just be at home, you might just, fix a little noodle, fix a little dish, come back to it, eat a bag of chips, all of these different things. We graze. And we graze on the wrong type of foods. Usually, sometimes it'd be junk food. But the trouble with that is, like I said, the digestive system, start to finish 3 hours. When you graze, you don't let it go through all of its faculties and take a rest. It's just like overrunning the engine, so to speak. It's just like it's kind of overdoing it. Another thing that we did talk about, and I'm bringing it back up to tie it in to get a bigger picture here, is about how full we allow our stomach to get. And so, are you ever going through the process of emptying your stomach if you graze? Not really. And so, having a better relationship about what it feels like to even be half full or 3/4 full, whatever, like you would have to empty yourself and find out and see and really get in tune with yourself. And I use this language with my kids. So I was asking Cameron about his hunger. And so now I got them doing that. And he like, no, I have more room. He's like, I think he told me he was 6/10 full. I'm like, stop it, you 60%. So, but building a relationship with what that actually feels like. And sometimes I have to say, your eyes got bigger than your stomach. Like, what percent were you on when you went back for those last 2 pieces? And so, this relationship that we, develop with our body, it is innate. And so, it will naturally try to get you in flow, even if nobody ever told you what circadian rhythm even was. Like, it's just, it's connected to God, it's connected to consciousness. So there is a sense, even if it's been brainwashed, overlapped, everything, of inner knowing that is going to let you know what to do. And it's almost like at this point, do you listen to it? Do you acknowledge it? Do you really know what that voice is when, it comes down to the decision making on to eat or not to eat? What is the voice inside the head, when you make the decision? And so diet and daily routine, I feel like is very important because this is lifestyle. That's what I told you. Ayurveda was a preventative care. So it's about a lifestyle change and being comfortable with the lifestyle change because it's helping you, your body, your mind, your spirit, is helping you emotionally, it's helping everything. So it's going to be a natural, innate, common sense way to do things. And like I said, I understand why we don't, we should cook our food at certain temperatures, ABC, XYZ. We got microwaves, some people call this the microwave generation. We have all this technology, and ultimately a lot of it is just not even good for us. The vibrations and the frequencies, like all of these conveniences come at a cost, whether we talking about the microwave or the food itself or prescription medicine. These conveniences come at a cost. And the cost is, our health, our vitality a lot of the times. And so sometimes you have to pay the price, but there are certain things you can do to balance. So if you know you got this ailment or you're on this particular prescription or whatever, like, okay, how do you counteract that? What are the side effects? Well, I know that when I take this, I have to go to aerobics or I have to go to the gym because one of the side effects of this is weight gain or whatever the case is. Like, just getting more in tune with, if you do have to take it, how can you balance it? And so our diet and daily routine is like a religion, so to speak. And so getting disciplined to really do things is important. And so going back to tie in some of the emotional things that we talked about somewhere around week 2, um, where are we getting the discipline to do things? Or do we have the discipline to do things? So I'll put it like this. When I had to work a 9 to 5 for my livelihood for somebody else, I showed up every day, 9 to 5, unless I couldn't or had a valid excuse because it was my job and I needed my job and I needed my money. And so I did this for somebody else. And then when I talk to other people about entrepreneurship, like, sometimes you got to put that 40 in a week that you would do for the next person plus more to really get a business off the ground. And so we look at it like, in the long haul, yeah, I'd be sitting pretty. I can make my own hours. I could do this, I could do that. But in the beginning, it's like, not only are you the show, you're the stage hands, you're the manager, you're the orchestra, you have to play all parts and all roles. So it's a lot of work and it takes even more discipline. And so when I'm talking to young adults, a lot of times that have these entrepreneurial pursuits, but don't ever want to hold down a job, I'm like, hey, that's a part of it. It's just maybe teaching you the skills, necessary to get to the next point. And that's why I said earlier, I was getting ready to say I've been doing this for like 7 years because I feel like I've been on a certain part of my path for the last 7 years, but I've really been doing this all my life. Like, even a customer service job mattered to get me where I'm going, to teach me some lessons that I needed to learn. And so with diet and daily routine, a very important thing is to be in the present moment. And this goes back to getting you in alignment with gratitude and appreciation and mind over matter type things. Like I said, going back to Tito's mental and emotional pieces, and being in the present moment, it is where you want to be to make proper decisions that are in flow with circadian rhythm. They're not always like, the overthinking is more of a human construct, that overlay that I said that we get from society. That ideology of, I gotta hurry up, I can't be late because you got consequences from this person or that person. And so going back to my little thing earlier, like, yeah, I wanted to get all of the videos to you guys at a certain time. And maybe at some point in business, it'll be there where it's necessary and people have paid a lot of money to be able to be like school for me. Nobody can be like, oh, we gonna get y'all the video. It's like, no, my homework depends on this. I have to upload this video by 3 every day. And when I have a staff, I'll make sure that people do those things. But right now, just trusting myself to be in flow, trusting things to be on time, being in this circadian rhythm, it it's not connected to all of those things. Our emotions are though, and then our emotions is connected to our body. And so then we have this disconnect. And so it truly is a balance and a juggle when you look at what we do for others. And so kind of going back to what I was saying before, when you got to do it for other people, we're more likely to discipline ourselves to do what we need to do. That's the short point when we're doing it for other people, because our image is on it and our ego is on it. And, if we say we're going to do it, we want to be a person of our word because we want our credit to be good and our integrity to be viewed well. And so somebody else say, get up and show up for me, you do it. Do you do the same thing for yourself? And so years ago, and I was counseling, and I realized so many people had abandonment traumas, but they were old. They were things that happened in the past. It could have been, an absent parent, whatever the case is. But as they began to, go through life coaching, and I hear that story, the only person in their life that's triggering the abandonment trauma is them. They're triggering their own abandonment trauma because they be like, oh yeah, I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to eat better and I'm going to do all of these things. And then they probably got a boyfriend or something that this person ain't doing what they want them to do. Like, why can't I get him to do this? Why? I'm like, well, hey, let's shift the focus instead of worrying about, is he going to propose? Let's go ahead and just think about what you want to do for yourself. Then you say you wanted to get your body together. Then you want to say you was getting a new job and all of this stuff. And then I remember asking a client one time, I'm like, if you did all of the stuff that you said you wanted to do for yourself, if you like lost the weight and got the new job and closed on the house and all that, would you still be interested in the same guy? I'm just curious. And so that was the interesting conversation because, you know, our self-worth is very important. And a lot of times when we are in people pleasing energies, we leave other people to determine that worth instead of it being a self-determined situation. And so when we're talking about being in circadian flow, it doesn't really make a lot of room for people pleasing because you're in this circadian flow, you're connected to your nature body, you're connected to God, and God didn't want you to be do those things. So what are you going to do? Like, what voice are you listening to? Like, how are you acknowledging the present moment when it's just about you and God, and there is nobody else, there is no witness. I like when there is a witness. I like when there's fellowship. I like having classes like this because then if you get people on the same wavelength and this is your community and you vibe together, and then you do it together. And so it's like, girl, you meditate today? I'm like, girl, yeah, I meditated today. So, we get with people that kind of, can help hold us accountable through those experiences. But the ones where you really like, hey, I need to cut back on sweets or I need to cut back on fast food, and you saying it to yourself all the time, but you still haven't made a move, and you have this overwhelming feeling of fatigue. And when you go out and deal with people in the world, you're easily disappointed by, them not doing the things that they need to do. And it's usually because you do the things you need to do for other people. But sometimes these other people that we look at as selfish, and they do be sometimes, but they doing what they need to do for them. And so sometimes you do have to adopt that a little bit more, but in alignment with God. It's not like you just being the negative version of selfish. It's a healthy version of putting yourself first, because if you don't, put your oxygen mask on first, that story. And so in putting your oxygen mask on first, like I'm saying, and being in circadian rhythm, it does require you to have boundaries that are not in alignment with people who may not be on that or may not want to do that. But it's very beneficial for our body, which is a self-healing mechanism, to just do its job without having to invite in a lot of medicines, a lot of, other external help to fix it, surgeries, whatever it may be. Being in that flow, going for a walk, taking eating your meal when your body feels supported, even doing the work to figure out what your body even feels like on certain meals, like these things are important, and you have to be in the present moment to do it. But a lot of times we are existing in the past and we are existing in the future, and those places don't exist. So if you're in those places, that means you're here, but you're not here and you're checked out. And so meditation, I bring this up again, is one of those things that help, call your awareness to the present moment at any given time. And after you've done it so long repetitively, that becomes integrated within you, where you're in that more aware state as you go about things. So you could just make decisions on the fly, and then they're still good decisions. And, I guess you could say this is being in alignment with God, or it's just so many, different ways that this is characterized. But being in this circadian flow just may put you guys in sync with a good timing for good things to happen to you. And so when we look at a diet, we always say, what are we eating? And yes, it is what we're eating, but everybody on here is different and have different needs. So I can't go into a lot of different specifics about just like what it is specifically you should be eating. But I do want you to be mindful that what you diet is not just what you consume as food. And I think I mentioned this before, but it's what you take in through all five senses. And so, what are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you, touching, feeling, whatever? I don't know if I named all of them, but all of these things. So I told you, mindful eating, for example, when we're digesting our food, what are we watching on TV? What are we doing? Did we pray over it? Are we sitting down? Is this a meditative experience, or are you rushed and on the go and yelling and fussing at somebody on the phone and biting a burger in the car in traffic? What is the situation or scenario? Because you want to be at ease, and you want it to be prayer-like, and you want to, pray and get down the digestive system, like it needs to, and, it nourishes your body and the waste comes out on the other end. Like, this is absolutely the experience that you want to have. And you have to think about it. You have to set the time up. Even if, you say at the top of the week, what's 3 meals that I can cook this week because I know I need to cook this week, or what days work best for me to cook so I can plan some things ahead. I was talking with a cousin client the other day, and one of the big recommendations that we make for people that can't seem to eat at lunchtime or just cook their meal, our first thing is, do you have a crock pot? Always asking people, do you have a crock pot? Because you could just put it in there, or they make these travel crock pots so you can be able to take your food to, work with you. And so, because we really see the importance of when you consume your meals and how it plays into your overall feelings of well-being. And so as you're going through your day, some environments you're not going to be able to help. Work, whatever it may be, a high stress environment. I'm not sure, everybody's situation is different, but as you're going in, what are you listening to? What are you subscribing to? I remember working in office spaces where it's like cubicles and everybody kind of had their own vibe. Somebody always got the gospel music playing or whatever to, get theirs in, or this person has their plants all over their cubicle, or whatever the case is, because we're trying to maintain good energy. We're trying to keep from being, you know, overly emotionally reactive to certain things, just different triggers that trigger the depression, or just, I don't even want to be here. Like, you don't even want to be in that place. Like, what things are you dieting every day? So when we think about our daily lifestyle and routine and daily diet and lifestyle, sorry guys, when we think about this, when you get up, or you got to get up tomorrow, or even you could think about a Monday or whatever the case, when you get up, how do you feel? And do you feel good? Do you feel like happy to be alive? Do you get up like, thank you, God, for another day? Like, are you chipper? Do you have good music playing while you brushing your teeth? Like, what's the experience most of the time? Are you getting up most of the time dragging? Like, I really don't feel like going here and waiting to the last minute to get out of the house. I remember, being younger, and even now as an adult, if it's something I'm looking forward to, I'm picking out an outfit. And so, I don't know if people do that anymore. I do still sometimes, but just planning your day, like, do you already have it in your mind? I have to do it because of the kids too, so I'm already thinking about what they may have watched or what they're gonna do. Like, do you feel prepared to meet the day when the day is upon you? Or are you thinking about the to-do list from yesterday or the things that you still didn't do? How is that connection happening in your body? Is it going well? And I'm kind of going into these different places because everybody doesn't have a serious ailment that they may be dealing with. But because I'm in preventative care, I'm just speaking to the things and the thoughts and emotions and feelings that could lead to a serious ailment so that you can understand that maybe those things may not actually be in flow, and if I change some of these things up, then maybe I won't feel as fatigued as I've been feeling. And so, you know, many of us have been on and off exercise. And so when you are a person that's exercising, how do you feel? Versus when you're not engaging in that exercising, is it something that you can do to reinvite that experience? Or, you know, even if it's not the exact same thing that you've done, it could just be a different way of engaging or incorporating physical movement into your life. And when we do that, we make different connections with people as well. And so that's one thing I like about being in flow, because when you do things that are good for you, a lot of good things can happen. So you may end up, meeting somebody at the gym or meeting somebody at yoga that connects you to something for work or something for this. Like, you're just getting out there, you're making yourself available, you're showing up for yourself. And when you're showing up for yourself, then you give yourself the chance to be met with opportunities that may help you change your situation if you want to change your situation. Maybe you're very comfortable in your situation, but anything just to make sure that we can stay healthy. I'll say that. And so we should be, people that can flow and grow, but of course, stability and very stable things and doing things, continuously for a while. That's good too, depending on what type of lifestyle you're trying to live. But I think it's very important. And there's a book called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn, if anybody is interested. And the book talks a lot about Mother Nature versus Mother Culture and things that we're cultured to do. And that's a cultured part of society, as opposed to what's just natural human nature for us to do. Because when we're actually nurturing the nature part, then we're actually nurturing health. A lot of the human constructs that we're under in our society doesn't care. It just wants you to work. And so that's when you'll get a lot of different feedback about, kids and school. And if school is just teaching you how to be a worker versus is it really helping to educate you? And, I bring that one up because that's one that's close to me. But even in the, rearing in of my children and homeschooling them, I wasn't following a regular school layout format. Let's get up at 8 o'clock. Okay, you get a 15-minute break. Okay, it's lunchtime. Okay, let's get you a leg stretch. Like, no, it was just, being connected to with it, however the day was flowing and with however life was. And, sometimes I would get nervous because a lot of people are like, well, what are you doing? Well, how are you teaching them? Are they on a curriculum? Are they this? And I'm like, we're just having life experiences and I'm explaining them out loud in real time to my children so that they understand, whether we cooking or whether we on the road or whatever the case is. And so putting them in school this year to get the confirmation that it is indeed working, being on circadian flow rhythm, my own time, my own way, being under that guidance of God, like, is more than sufficient, because they were more than sufficient in school. They were at the top of their class. And I'm like, yeah, that was a good feeling to know that you can follow God and it can be outside of the norm and it can be good for you and it can be okay. And so tapping into, that circadian rhythm and that flow and that being connected to God, like, you understand that your relationship with God is very unique because it's the one between you and God. And so nobody else can really tell you. We can get people to be messengers, don't get me wrong, and we'll get many messengers in life. I consider myself a messenger right now, but even when I consult people, it still have to be on an individual, one-on-one, so I can actually see like what's specifically going on with you and your experience to even give you like some more precise advice on how to connect to better health, because connecting to better health is kind of like, connecting closer to God. And so with the again, diet and daily routine, it's no quick fix diet. That, I know that there are a lot of different things out there. You can pull up some, everybody got a remedy for something. Everybody got something new you should try. Oh, you should do this. This is going to make you healthy. You should do this. This is going to make you lose weight. This is the new craze. Take this salt, eat these fruits. Like, yeah, it's going to continue to happen as you turn on TV and everything. So getting in tune with your body and getting in tune with God and getting in tune with what works for you specifically is important, because these things that we try out here, they're not for everybody. Even if they work for the person and the person got proven results, there's some differences between you and that person. So they may only be speaking to a certain type of people. So you just have to kind of know, for yourself through some of your own trial and error, even of what's really going to be right and what's really going to connect you. I had a thought, it was just on the tip of my tongue, and as I was talking, it escaped me. I watched it ride by like 3 times too, and I couldn't catch it because I wanted to finish my sentence. And I really hope that it comes back to me. Sorry, guys. But moment. Okay, so I was just kind of touching on, like I said, being in flow with your body. I really wanted to grab that thought again. It really left me this time. Um, Diet and daily routine. What are we taking in throughout our day, environment wise? What are we watching? What are we listening to? What are our habits? That's the point. There is no quick fix. There is no quick fix, no quick diet, no thing you can do. You actually have to change your lifestyle. And the reason why it's a lifestyle change is because it's not just something that's working on your body, it's working on everything. Like I said, mind, body, spirit, emotions, everything. And so that's what makes it stick, because it becomes about integrity at that point. Because when you can't not know. You can only then disobey if it resonated as truth. You can only then go against yourself. And we do that so much. We dare not do it to anybody else for our ego, but we disappoint ourselves so much. We let ourselves down because we be trying to put ourselves on these diets and these routines, and then we don't keep up with them, and we be like, ah. And, sometimes it's hard to get back on the wagon. But it's not that hard when you integrate it in mind, body, and spirit, and it makes you very accountable. And so even being in this class for me right now is hard, because as I learn so much information and I have to be accountable for this information, I mean, I do have grace for myself, don't get me wrong, which we all should have grace for ourselves. But what they say, when you know better, you do better. So I feel called to do better. And in those things, that's me being in better alignment with integrity. So that's in better alignment with God. And so when you look at changing it in your lifestyle, instead of going body up, a lot of times it's good to go spirit down. And so you get that reference. If you've been paying attention for the last 6 weeks, you can go spirit, mind, emotions, body, instead of going body, emotions, mind, spirit, is what I'm saying. And so if you make the lifestyle changes, going from the top down, then you don't really too much have to think about the diet. When everything else is on track, you're going to have the taste for different things. Your taste buds will change. You'll automatically desire and attract things that are good for you, that are nourishing to you. You didn't even know that cinnamon did that. Oh, such and such just gave me all this cinnamon. I didn't know what I was gonna do with this cinnamon, and you didn't even know God dropped it off for you. You found out 3 days later what you even needed it for. So there's something very beautiful about that type of alignment, and there's something very difficult about maintaining it and holding it and then being in the present moment with it because of everything else that we have going on in the world in our everyday life, which makes us gravitate to someone else's diet or example because they lost 20 pounds when they did it. So I'm going to try it. But it's not a quick fix. Our health is something that is every day, all the time, in the moment, from now until. And so changing the lifestyle is the best way to do it. I heard everybody used to say it takes 21 days, right? And so I used to adopt that notion like, yeah, if you do it for 21 days, you can break a habit, 21 days, 21 days. But as I've gotten deeper into the Vedic literature, even they say 40 days and 40 nights. And so when I think about, religion, I think about something that we do religiously, meaning it is now a daily practice habit that doesn't even require second thought. Will you get up and have a warm beverage? Will you accidentally forget and just crack open the Pepsi at 7 a.m.? I don't know. So it's just like, how are you going to train yourself? How are you going to hold yourself accountable to the information? If you say, oh, well, I'm just, this is my cheat day. Okay, if it is your cheat day and you say I'm with friends and so it's 7 a.m. and I'ma still have the bacon, that's fine. But do you make up for it on any other day? Like, what do you do on the other days? Are you actually like doing something to balance that? I've had a bigger this meal, so I'm gonna do a lighter that meal so I can wake up and still feel good and still feel full of energy. Like, nothing worse than waking up and everything you ate the previous day hitting you real bad everywhere. Like, man, I shouldn't have had that greasy food, or I shouldn't have had this. And so, like, how many times do you have those experiences till you be like, this don't really agree with me? Or do we like let our taste buds override everything? What type of boundaries do we put up? Like, I really have even though I'm like a connoisseur of like a lot of different music, I love music, and I'm not biased about music in any type of way, but I know, growing up, you know, uh most of the religious households that I knew of, like, they only listen to gospel music. Like, if they in the car or whatever they at, it's just gospel music. But I get it, because it can be like a mantra for you. You know what I'm saying? If this is the energy and this is the spirit that I want helping to program me as I go throughout the day. And so that could be a beautiful thing. But I will say, not just with gospel music, but any music, they are connected to a lot of emotions and emotional experiences. And so you may have meant to be upbeat, and then now you are, ready to go lay prostrate on the altar. And maybe you needed that breakthrough on the ride. I'm not saying that you didn't, but what I am saying is if you want to be intentional about programming the energy that you want to exist in today, because maybe you do feel like breaking down, and maybe you was trying to hold that in until you got home because you got stuff to do, because that's how life's on us sometimes. So maybe you just meant to be, a little upbeat, and so you could put your playlist on or create a playlist. I know younger people are very hip to this. I know I have some people that may not be in that particular generation of having a playlist plugged in before you get in the car. But, these are things that you can do to help your experience, your diet and daily routine of what is controlling you throughout the day, what is on your mind, what is in your energy. You can also like choose to not take a phone call that comes in if you know like this is the person, this is the energy, and you may not have, the space for that at the moment. But the only person that's going to know that is you. And so I always say, just because somebody calls, it doesn't mean that you have to answer. And so, you do have that option to set up certain boundaries for your day so that you can have a good routine about yourself. So I'll share with you the Ayurvedic routine that I have to do better at following, but grace, because I do some things a bit more religiously than I used to now. But a part of the morning routine you wake up, um, you can do your meditation when you shower and you brushing your teeth and you on that segment. One thing that's important that's different that hasn't been stressed enough in our culture is a tongue scraper, scraping your tongue. And so, and this is very important. If you remember when I told you that your the saliva, the enzymes in your saliva can change to help aid the digestion of whatever specific food that you may be eating. If your tongue is coated, you're not fully activated in the mouth. And so if you're a person that even struggle with an appetite in the morning, if you brush your teeth and scrape your tongue, that may help, invigorate or enliven your appetite too. And so that's one thing I say, if anybody knows people like at a nursing home or, people that are in a hospital and stuff and they maybe having trouble eating, making sure that you go in there and that they're brushing their teeth and cleaning their mouth out well so that they can reinvigorate their taste buds to be able to digest and then have a desire to eat. And so anyway, that's a part of the morning routine. Another part is oiling our bodies. And Black folks know that your mama was like, go put some lotion on. So we have it honest, innate, but it actually is important to rub natural oils into your body and to touch all the parts of your body and enliven and invigorate those parts of your body with the sense of touch. And this actually helps your circulation. And so we don't, that's not something that I was ever really taught. The only massage I got, is going to the masseuse to have one to pay for. But you can actually do this to yourself where you're just, taking a little extra care of yourself in the bathroom and adding the oil. What does this do? This helps with dryness in the body. Well, what does dryness in the body do? Well, it can cause joint pains. It can cause musculoskeletal disorders. It can cause skin issues. Dryness, any really myriad of things. Most of the things that's wrong with the body happens from some level of dryness. And after you turn 60, your body automatically goes into a stage of life that is characterized by more dryness. And if you live in Michigan and you experience the dry winters and then you got the dry heat running in your house, then your hair is probably brittle and falling out in your hands by now. Okay, so what that mean? It's time to give yourself a little bit more self-care. It's time to go ahead and remember to turn on the humidifier every night. Like it means something to you, because it does in the long run mean a lot to you for you to keep your body nourished. That means don't do a lot of dry snacking. That means favor some soups and some stews and some things that help with your digestion and help to nourish your body. And so getting in the flow, the circadian flow, and doing things that make sense for your body is actually closer to common sense than we think. It's just that we have become so separate by it with the routines that we've created for ourselves. So based on society or based on, being a part of society. And I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing because it's mostly necessary. But even still, just figuring out how we can, like I said, reawaken what's natural in our life so that we can be in flow and we don't have to think too hard. Like, don't grab the soda, grab the water. Why? Because I want to add some years, because I want to add some days. I don't know. You may want to add some hours, but it's just a habit thing. So you have to kind of get in the habit of choosing something over something else. A lot of people say, hey, I can't meditate. How do I meditate? I keep thinking the thoughts. The thoughts are going to come. You just have to get in the habit of when the thoughts do come, and then you become aware that you are thinking, that you choose to stop, that you choose to go back to your mantra that you were saying. And so it's really all about choices and choosing them over and over repetitively, watering the plants so that you can see the work, so that you can see the fruit. But I realized, not only with some of the people that I've been talking to as of late, but even with myself, that it's been difficult. It's just been difficult. And I don't know if anybody else has, looked at it kind of objectively, because it's, we are the subjects of this time and day and age that we're in. But if we read any history and we understand that in life, things happen. We go through, the Great Depression, or we go through wars, or we go through all of these things. And we've looked at all of these things in the past, and we've looked at the American privilege that we've had, that we didn't have to do that. We're this first world country. We're in the land of the free. Why are we the most obese? Why are we the sickest? Why is healthcare over here such a big issue? I was reading something that said Saginaw County is like the most obese county. And then same day, one of my professors like, yeah, obesity and diabetes, those are rich man diseases. You have to have all of the modern stuff, and you have to have enough money to be able to even do that, because everybody else that's in a state of suffering in other places are starving. And so when we look at what will the history books say about this time that we're in right now, what is it going to say about us? And where will we get the discipline to guide the next generation? Because if the mortality rate for certain diseases is the age rather is decreasing as the years go by. It used to be by the time you're 80, these things happen. Now it's by the time you're 70. Now it's by the time you're 60. Now it's 50-year-olds. Now it's 40-year-olds. And these people have strokes, and these people have cancers, and these people have these things. And so I ain't trying to be all preachy, but this is what I think about all the time because this is the field that I'm in, that I've been called, that I said, fine, that's my mission. I'm going to try to get people more in tune with the things that they need to do, but it has to become more important. And then we have to lead by example, and it's not easy at all for anybody to do. But I don't think that people have realized that this is a state of crisis, because then maybe there would be more than 8 people. But we don't even have the time. We don't even want to think about it, because we got to play this game. We got to do these things. And then we're realizing, guess what? The game will even, glitch because they laying off. They done laid off all these people. They ain't got no work because they on strike. And so anything could happen. We look at following this system as security, but, we are coming into these times where we're, curating different things. Entrepreneurship is something that I hear more often than I've ever heard, and hopefully for the right reasons. But, at least people do know that they want to be in it for themselves, if nothing else, at this point of, claiming that goal. But it's worth thinking about more deeply, as you go through the day. It's worth, going ahead and just saying, okay, what 3 meals I'm gonna cook? Let me just go to the grocery store and grab that. I don't know what day I'm gonna cook them on yet, but I know that I have at least the ingredients to make these things in the fridge. And, get an alarm clock if you don't have to be up early in the morning, until you can, try to program yourself. And I mean, the best thing you want to do if you want to wake up early is just go to sleep. On time. Go to sleep earlier, and you'll be rested, and you'll be ready to wake up. But then that means that you got to turn the TV off. Don't go to sleep, to the TV or with the TV on. Can you just like go in your room and not have a TV in your room? Can you just go in there, and then that just be the time where you just, you go in there to go to sleep? And, pray before you go to sleep, or meditate before you go to sleep, to clear your mind. Like, these are simple things that we can do that actually fix the problems that we're facing, that a lot of times we don't make time to do. And it's important, and it's self-love. And if you feel abandoned ever, if you feel ever like you overgive, like people don't give like you give, then the challenge is to give to yourself. And if you have to set boundaries with other people in the meantime, while you work on you, do that. Because the disappointment from others is usually a internal projection. A lot of what we're facing and what we're dealing with is internal war. And so a lot of time when people speak about spiritual warfare, you know, it's not really a spirit out there. It's a spirit inside, because without having it inside, you cannot perceive it outside to be able to name it. And so we do our best work on ourselves. And as we do that work, it just kind of, flows very abundantly onto other people, and where they just so happen to got happy because you got happy. I was talking to a friend. I know I'm looking at the time. It's 8:28. I'm gonna close, but leaving it right here at joy. And so every time we end up talking about joy, there's this little quote that I saw a long time ago, and it was talking about that uh, joy is not a thing you go experience, it's something that you're a conduit for. And so I always think about like the religious quotes, like, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away, or, never let the devil steal your joy. Like, what is this joy? That's quite different than happiness. And that quote that was talking about being a conduit for joy talks about joy being something that you create, that you bring to the situation. The joy flows through you. So when you there, that joy of the Lord flows through you, because it can, because you've allowed yourself to be a vessel for that, because you've chosen not to be angry and depressed and upset in this moment, because you want to make the best, because you're optimistic, because you're grateful, because you're in gratitude, and it's okay to be that way. And so, you know, adding joy into your daily routine, to just say, when I get up, I'm grateful to get up and do what I was called to do, whatever that assignment is, whatever that job is. It may be a meantime situation, but even the meantime situations usually have a very necessary lesson, and you may not realize it until retrospectively in hindsight. But if you have joy, you could just flow. You could just flow through the day. And yes, people will come with all other types of different energies that they have. They may have impatience for the day. Do you have to take that on? Because they can be rushing you and you cannot rush. I learned that from the Jamaicans. Every time the Americans go over there, they want it quick. And Jamaicans say, you get it when I give it to you. You should be lucky that I chose to be serving you today. That type of energy. But that type of energy, that type of alignment, that type of confidence, and going about your day, is very hard to muster up if you really hate getting up in the morning and don't like your job or whatever the case is. And so having that positive outlook, maybe write a few things down, plans for the future of why what you're doing right now makes sense. But overall, just approaching the day with joy might make you just want to get up and take a walk. If you have any questions, because I'll keep going, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. No questions, y'all? Okay, I'm gonna go back and listen to this and try not to be too critical, because I ain't have any notes. Y'all better not be talking about me.
No, all is well. Thanks, Ashley. This is you touched on so many good things. So,
All right, sis. Thank you.
yeah, all is well. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, guys. If nobody has questions, we gonna close it out.